Hello there and welcome to yesterday's news today, or at some point when I got to it. So, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the most interesting things that I have found on the internet lately for you guys. I'm gonna break it down, hopefully in a simple way to make it understandable and easy to consume, and hopefully we'll be out of here in 15 minutes or so. With that being said, let's get right into it. So the first thing that I want to jump into with is YouTube and some of the things they've been doing during the whole pandemic or crisis. What we've noticed is a lot of pulling of videos that may or may not have relevant information for people. If you've been looking at the news lately, you may have seen a video circulating where two California doctors go out and start spouting what they believe is accurate information about the pandemic. This video were doctors from Bakersfield talking about how the virus was severely overplayed. In their eyes, they ran certain simple numbers and gave their information in the most accurate form they felt was possible. This was then filmed by ABC News, posted on YouTube, and it very quickly went viral. YouTube was very quick to jump on the bandwagon and cut them out, completely banned the video, and removed them from all search results. The question here becoming, why was it done? Was it legitimate? And is there a reason to bring it back onto the internet? So, according to YouTube, it violated their community guidelines because it goes against all the information the CDC and the WHO, the WHO, have been displaying about the pandemic. So whereas YouTube is trying to take a stance in that the information is not a good thing for the community of people watching YouTube, it's unhealthy to have this information as it can make you more of a paranoid person relating to this, and because it is not following the guidelines of the CDC and the WHO, can create more danger for viewers if you don't take what the CDC and WHO take as seriously. To me, this is a bit of an interesting situation. You have what used to be a platform in which people could just post their ideas, thoughts, and have open free speech. It is now being taken over and just showing what YouTube wants to show. I know ABC made a statement that it shouldn't be taken down. They filmed it. It was a credible news source that filmed it. The information has not been verified properly, at least not by scientists. It is simply the opinion of two doctors. So the question then becomes, should you be allowed to watch it? On the one hand, YouTube is a private entity owned by Google. Their revenue comes from advertisements, and advertisers typically don't want to have anything that could be considered too risky, especially if their names are attached to it. So, the balance needs to be found, right? They have the right to bring out whatever they want to have you watch, and you have the right not to watch it. Is this a platform for free speech? I do not believe that is the case anymore. That is up to you as the viewer. I'm personally hoping that at some point we can have more platforms arise in which we can speak more freely. In the meantime, I do understand that because YouTube is a, in many ways, paid platform for advertisers, they want to cultivate what they believe will be the best for viewership. They also have a bit of a responsibility to their viewers to take any measure necessary they deem fit to make sure they are also not spewing information out to their public that could potentially harm their viewership. They have that moral responsibility because they carry so much power nowadays. I sit kind of in the middle on that one. I don't think it's a terrible idea for them to pull this stuff down. Realistically, the doctors have had actually quite a bit of backlash as far as the information they were talking about. They used very simple numbers. They didn't have this peer reviewed. They simply went out, did some rough numbers, and said what they wanted to say. As far as free speech goes, more power to ya. Is it accurate information? Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean it's accurate, and just because it's not verified doesn't make it inaccurate. In other news, we have the Pentagon and the Department of Defense releasing some videos that may be startling to some people. So, for all you people out there that have always thought about UFOs and aliens coming and visiting us, you might not be too far off. Recent videos released by the Department of Defense have shown what they call as, I don't want to mess this one up, unidentified aerial phenomena. You have actual video footage of F-18 fighter pilots recording and chasing around UFOs. Now, if you go ahead and watch the videos, which I have linked down below, they are very, very interesting. They are basically specks of little spacecraft looking things. They do look a little bit like UFOs, I suppose. of traditional cartoons, flying around, zipping around, and you actually get to hear the fighter pilots talking about it. So in one of the videos, you hear some of the fighter pilots talking about how they're in formation, there's multiple ones of them, and that how they suddenly zip off into the ether quicker than anything they can imagine. Why is this important, and why is this kind of freaky? Because the Department of Defense did come out and make a statement saying that this is, first of all, something they can release to the public, because it is video footage of something that does not infringe or violate on national security. Second of all, they have confirmed it is of a vehicle of sorts that is not part of the arsenal of the United States Air Force or any branch of it, as well as the arsenal of any other country that we know of. In layman's terms, they're just saying they don't know what's flying around, they know it's quick, and it kind of freaked them out. I guess they're giving us an Easter egg for this whole pandemic stuff, something fun for us to watch. For most people, if you watch it, you're gonna look at it and say that's just a little thing on a camera screen. It doesn't mean much to us, but if you wanna read into it, clearly the Department of Defense did a little bit. I would take them for, you know what, there might be extraterrestrials visiting us every once in a while. However, judging based off of our reaction to this pandemic stuff, I don't think there's enough intelligent life for them to merit coming and visiting us, unless they wanted to use it as an example of what not to do in most situations. So that's a bit of fun that we're seeing. My biggest confusion is, why is this not bigger news if there is something there? And I'd love to see what Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about this, because I know a lot of physicists have said there's probably no one that's visited us at this point. That also brings up a lot of questions in physics, because realistically, most galaxies near enough to us to at least view are still many, many, many light years away. Physics comes into question. How are they coming to us? How are they visiting us? How are they viewing us? That's a rabbit hole that I will let you guys go down in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys say about that one. I will leave the link to that one as well as the video, because it is a lot of fun to watch. And as a side note, they were using infrared cameras, so it's not just a regular camera you're viewing through. It is definitely a different kind of video to watch. Now, as a bit of bigger news, we have Kim Jung Un in the news, or rather that not in the news, which is more concerning. So as of the last few days, we've had reports that he went into surgery for open heart surgery, knowing that he is in rough medical shape. Realistically, he is a heavy smoker and is known to be overweight. They're having a lot of conflicting reports as to what has happened to him, and as of the most current news that I've been able to pull up, it is that Kim Jong Un is missing out of the public eye. He did miss his own celebration for his birthday. The latest reports from that side of Korea is that he's just in hiding due to COVID-19, trying to stay away and social distancing by hiding. There have been video or photographs from satellites seeing his train moving around the country, which is typically pretty important because that is how he gets around in a safe manner instead of a motorcade. There was also a fake report put out by a Japanese news source that he had died, with fake photos of his burial. So there's a lot of things going on at this point. Now, the main issue with his potential passing is that there is no direct line of succession in that event. So the only people they have potentially in line for that is, one, his sister, who has been gaining political power in the recent few years, and his uncle, who has been used as an advisor in the past. However, both options are not direct, and they are not set in place as a for sure thing. What this potentially could cause is political instability in the region, causing global problems for everyone else that has to interact with North Korea. As far as things are being released now, North Korea is keeping things hush, simply claiming he is away and avoiding the virus. The United States, Mr. Trump, has said that he is in good health and just fine, and every other news article that's put out information about him is strictly speculative at the moment. So there's not much we can come and say about his actual condition. I know that other reports have come out and said that he's simply brain dead from a botched surgery, but we have no official information on that, and we really won't until North Korea comes out and gives us an official statement. That being they are super private with all the information, especially when it comes to their leader. As far as my personal thoughts on this one, this is terrifying times. In some ways, we've seen the hassle North Korea can create due to their leader right now. They do live in somewhat impoverished conditions, at least major parts of the country do. We've seen in the past that they do fake a lot of their propaganda, so we don't know how well the citizens are doing. I want to say it could be a good thing for North Korea to lose their leader and potentially have a shakeup in their government. However, we have no guarantee that the government is the way it is because of the current leader or the current family leading that. In more local news, the state of Arizona has had Governor Ducey come out and talk about what will be happening for the next 15 days. He was scheduled to speak on Thursday, which is today, but came out on Wednesday with an official statement in a press conference in which he has stated he has taken the advice of many experts, federal government, he's talked to many business CEOs as well as the CDC, gone over data and information, and has made decisions strictly based on the information and graphs he has been given by experts. So as of the 1st, we will be extending the quarantine until May 15th. So that's an extra 15 days added onto the quarantine. Now, this is a controversial statement as many people in Arizona are hoping to reopen up the economy and keep things going again. However, he is adamant that with the information currently presented to him, a continuous quarantine of another 15 days will help to further reduce and flatten whatever curve we have left as far as COVID-19 cases go. Now, Arizona has had a relatively lower amount of cases from the rest of the country. Some saying it's due to the heat here and the way our population is spread out. So, as far as my own personal opinions on that one goes, I'm a business owner. I want things to open up again, but I also do understand that I want my customers healthy and happy. So I am not completely upset with Governor Ducey. Many have claimed the guy has no balls for not opening up the state again, whereas states like Texas have reopened. I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. 15 more days is not going to kill us. I do, however, believe that if we reopen too soon, you will see a number of businesses who do not get the help they do need will shutter and close their doors permanently. Whereas if we only have one shutdown that's continuous, a lot of us business owners can survive that with issues, but we will survive it. As our final story, we have ex-Vice President Joe Biden and current presidential candidate back in the news for more sexual misconduct allegations being brought against him, this time by former aide Tara Reid, who was his aide in 1993. She has come out and spoken up against candidate Joe Biden, talking how in 1993, while working with him, she did receive many sexual advances that were making her uncomfortable and was continuously ignored, not only by the people she went and whistle blew to, but by Joe Biden as well as his staff at the time and up to now currently. So there have been certain transcripts that have come back up from previous interviews she did with Larry King, in which she actually talked about a current senator of Delaware at the time who had made certain advances on her, and even though she had come out with public interviews, they were ignored at the time as well. She currently wants Joe Biden to acknowledge, as well as his staff, who went ahead and helped him hide the issue in her eyes, the misconduct that they perpetrated against her, and the other potential victims that have, suffered at the hand of Joe Biden. That being said, this is now a total of 8 women who have come out against Joe Biden, causing the Democratic Party to have some serious issues that they are having to debate with. The main one being, during the election period where Trump was in the news and trying to run for president, he also had many sexual misconduct allegations brought up against him, and the Democratic Party was one of the most hard-hitting groups voicing their opinion on sexual misconduct with presidential candidates. So now they do have to debate how they're going to deal with this, now being that one of their own candidates are facing sexual misconduct allegations and still have a proper candidate to go up against Donald Trump in the next election. Now, some good news for presidential candidate Joe Biden is that he has had 3 staffers come out in defense of him, saying that the misconduct allegations that he has had against him seem to go against every interaction that they have had with him, and that he does exemplify strong moral fiber and they have never had any thoughts of him having sexual misconduct with employees. They've also touted that Mr. Biden is a strong proponent for women's rights and advocate for them being heard with the whole Me Too movement as well. So he has both pros and cons when it comes to this presidential election. My personal thoughts on that one is this going to be trouble for what I call a weak candidate for the Democrats at this point. Donald Trump is a very strong candidate to win the election this time, and so far we have seen no other candidate that can potentially take him on. And with this coming up for the Democrats, this is not going to bode well for them. I'm starting to realize it's not going to be 15 minutes long. I'm trying to hurry up the way I do my news. Now, for my own personal thoughts about what's going on with the economic crisis we're going through. We have seen some strong rallies in the stock market, which is really good for people with investments, 401ks, Roth IRAs. Things are going back up at whatever rate. They are going to go up and down. Now, for most people, I hope you didn't panic and sell, because that is the worst thing you can do, but I do want to give you some advice for how to survive in the future economic issues and crisis that may arise. Doesn't have to be a pandemic, but there are things you can do to prepare you and your family for situations like this. Something that we are all realizing, whether you be a company or personal or an individual, is your finances need to be flexible and they need to be controlled. So my first recommendation is going to be create plans, create budgets, and make sure that you are living within those budgets at all times. Try to figure out ways to keep your debt low and manageable. Understandably, not everyone can be debt-free, but that debt can be managed. Make sure that things that you are having loans on are things that you need. House is a big one, for example. Cars, if you can avoid it, avoid taking loans out on cars, or at least keep them manageable. Keep your budgets flexible, so when things are good, if you want to have extras and frivolous things on there, by all means, if it fits in your budget, spend on it. But make sure that when things do get tight, that you can trim the fat and make sure that you have enough money to take care of your necessities. Necessities being your shelter, power, water, internet if need be. It is becoming more of an essential. As well as your food being the second thing on there. So make sure those things are always taken care of. Next, always keep at least $1,000 in your emergency fund. Most people in America don't have enough money to cover a $500 bill. When I say most, that's roughly between 40 and 60%, which is a wide margin, but the numbers do change. But that's a huge amount of people that cannot cover a $500 bill without using a credit card or some kind of line of credit. So make sure you have at least $1,000, and as your finances improve, make sure you can save up to 6 months worth of your expenses. So if you were to lose your job for 6 months, you have that in the bank and you're safe on that one. And then the most important thing after all those is learn new skills. Make sure that if things go wrong, you find a way to be employable. You need to be able to provide for yourself and your family. So if that means maybe having a way to get a new side hustle immediately and quickly, make sure you have those skills, whether they be digital skills, editing, video, IT work. Find something you can do. Another recommendation I've seen is go ahead and be self-sufficient. If you can create your own power, solar panels, that definitely helps. Obviously it's a higher investment, but it is a small thing you can do. Raising chickens or growing your own food is also a way you can become self-sufficient. Now, no person is an island, but you can reduce your dependency on other people to get you through those times. And then finally, network. Network in good times, and make sure you have small networks of people you can rely on for the things you cannot create yourself. So this way you have some kind of a safety net in groups to make sure you can all help each other out. So do the bare minimum to make sure you can survive these times, and most of the time you will be okay. Now that has been my advice, that has been the news. I got to it at some point, and I will see you guys soon with more news. In the meantime, the Burrito Bandito out.